recently celebrated Easter, where we remembered everything that really enables us to call ourselves Christians. But what does this really even mean? I guess you could say, what characterizes a true Christian? The last time I shared my thoughts here, I spoke about how we complicate life when we try to use our own wisdom to fix problems in our lives. When it comes to living as Christians and outworking our faith, it often seems to me that things can become similarly complicated. So today I thought I'd share some of the things I often ponder as I ask myself whether I'm doing well in my Christian walk, and in particular when I ask myself whether others would even know if I'm a Christian if I don't tell them. So let's begin with a basic foundation. If we look for a definition, we find statements saying a Christian is someone who professes belief in the teachings of Christ, or who trusts in Jesus Christ as Saviour, or a Christian's a person who strives to follow Jesus in every area of life. Sounds simple, but the trouble for me is that every area of my life amounts to a whole lot of areas. If I'm doing really well in one, I seem to slip up in another. My efforts remind me of a time I watched a farmer move cows from one paddock to another. Although he got the cows moving basically in the right direction, as soon as his attention focused on keeping the cows in line on one side of the herd, some broke loose and began to stray on the other. Somehow I always seem to keep up in some areas but struggle to keep everything in line. The Bible's full of instructions about how to live a Christian life, covering everything from the importance of reading the Bible, praying and worshipping and going to church, to the passage in Matthew 25 that teaches us about taking care of those who are vulnerable and in need. Ephesians 5, 1-2 really sums it up by saying we are to be imitators of Christ. I guess this is where things often start to fall apart. Depending on how you're wired, you can find yourself doing better in some areas than others, probably because we're passionate about some, or they come more naturally to us. A while ago, I watched a movie that really stirred my thinking. It centered around a man who'd fallen on hard times and lost his home and family. Starving and ill, he tried to get a job to earn money for food. Turned away at every point he came across a church. Here the pastor was kind in the way he spoke, but said there was not really anything he could do, and he didn't really know where to advise the man to go for help. The following Sunday, the homeless man made it back to the church, attended by some of the people who had turned him away from their workplaces. That same pastor's sermon focused on 1 John 2:6, which states that those who say they are Christians should live as Jesus did. The pastor finished by urging his congregation to strive each day to do as Christ would do. At this point, the homeless man stood up and asked if he could say something. He shared how things had gone wrong in his life, and how in his time of desperate need, no one, even there in the church, would help. He finished by saying that when he heard that final point the pastor had given, stating that he should do what Jesus would do, he immediately thought that he didn't know what Jesus would do, but it seemed to him on the basis of his experience that neither did the pastor nor the congregation. Many took offense and justified their own choices, but the pastor was deeply challenged, I guess in the way I've been. He realized he had simply been so busy with routines familiar to Christian life, but was missing the essence of what it truly meant to imitate Christ. So, let's go back to my own pondering. What have I concluded? Well, I believe it all boils down to love. It seems to me that if I make love the motive and filter I use when making all decisions, I shouldn't go wrong. How do I do this? Well, it works best for me if in each situation I purposefully ask God to show me how He sees people and situations, and in each of these to help me to love the way He does. Is it working? Well, I think so. I know I battle fewer thoughts and emotions and have greater peace. So, does that mean you should all copy me? Not necessarily, but I do hope that what I've shared encourages you to take some time to reflect honestly about your own Christian life and to consider whether there is anything that you could be doing differently.